Hey everybody, Winstreak here. Today's request comes from Mom Chill Believe. They are looking for a marbles war. I just set up the core concept here. Essentially, we'll have two marbles. They travel around randomly. If they hit their enemy square, it will turn into theirs and reset their direction they are heading. And then we just keep track of whose points are higher. So without further ado, we will hop on in and start from scratch. And center this real quick, and I'm going to start out with a sprite for the tiles, and I instantly uncentered it, but that's not a big deal. And I'm just going to make 50 by 50s, and we want to set up a border around it so we can see, and that'll be just a blank tile, so we can name that real quick. And we'll duplicate this twice. Since I'm only going to be doing it with two different colors, you'd want to do this for each color that you could possibly be using. And we have yellow, and we'll name it as well, and then red. And that's it for the tile. I'm just going to move this off here. We're not actually going to work with it. I will use the events to put them all in. I'm going to head over to my other sheet and just copy and paste my marbles just to save a little bit of time. And these are from Shikashi's art package that I use every now and then. Of course, I'll post it below, so if you're interested in the design, you can go and grab them there for free. But just two sprites. We got a red and a yellow ball. Nothing special with the animations. They do have a behavior of move to. And I did edit the max speed to, from 200 up to 250, and I set acceleration deceleration to 0, which means they instantly jump up to 250. That way they seem a little more sporadic and quick. And then again, same with the yellow, same edits, and no other special additions. And oops, meant to drag this. I just want to start them spread out from each other, and nothing in the event sheet. So we got nothing going on yet, and I'll hop on over to the event sheets and begin with some globals. And I'm just going to want to essentially set up a board, and mine's real basic. We're just going to do a 10 by 10 board with my 50 by 50 pixels. So we're going to get some position holders. So we'll name this one position X, and I'm going to copy paste that. And then just change this name to position Y. And I don't want them to start all the way up in the top corner, so I'm just going to throw these to 100 by 100. And that'll give them a little bit of space from the top left. And next I'm going to set up a function, and this will be called create, let's see, row. And then we want to create another one, which is we'll say add column. And on start of layout, we're going to want to call create row. So let's add an event, start of layout, and I'm just going to move that above. Then I'll just move those below since it was being mean. And then we will call it. And create row, we just want to do our 10 sprites back to back to back. So it's just a line 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 all the way across. And this will just do it quickly for us and set up the position, everything nice, and also be editable a lot easier than if I actually put them in on the board myself. So to do it 10 times, we're going to start out with the repeat process. Do repeat 10 times, and that's going to be as a sub-event of create row. And then for the 10 times, we're going to want to create that sprite. Oops, that's under system, create object, our sprite, and then we're going to want to set the layer to 0. We're not really working with layers. And then the position to the positions we created. So we got position X, and position Y. Then we're going to want to edit our current position. So we'll set that value for X because we're moving from left to right. And we're just going to add 50 because that is how big our... Did I do set value? I want to add 2. We are adding to the value plus 50 here. Oops. And that'll drop all 10 of them in a row. And each time we also want to go ahead and set the Z level for our sprite. So, sorry, not Z level, but the Z order. We want that to just be on the bottom. That way, since these balls are created by me, so they're created before any events take place. Once it creates the sprites, they would go on top of the balls, and in order to put them underneath the balls, we're going to have to actually set the layer in here. So we'll move them to the bottom layer, and then we want to go ahead and call new line from there. So I'm going to add another sub-event, and this one's going to set the position of X back to 0. Because once we go down to our new line, we want to go all the way to the left again. So we'll go to set value, position X. Sorry, I said 0, back to 100, because that's our starting position, as you see up in the top there when we created the global. And then we want to call the function add column. So this will repeat all 10 of these, and then reset our position of X back to our initial position, and then it'll jump us down here, which all this has to do is check to see if it can add a line, and we'll do that based off of how many lines we've already added, which we can figure out based off of our position Y. And then it will recall create row once it adds a line. So we'll do another blank sub event, and this one's going to compare a variable, and like I said, we're going to do it based off our position Y. And we want to do 10 rows, and we're working with 50 at a time, with the first one starting at 100. So we're going to do less than 550. That means once it hits 550, it's done. And we can double check the math here once we run it once and make sure it's 10 by 10. And as long as it is less than 550, we will go ahead and add to our position Y. 50, and then call create board again, or create row again. And we can go ahead and run that and take a look. We got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Cool, we got 10 by 10, and then I'm just going to edit these positions real quick, make sure they're only touching 1. Wouldn't be a big deal if they weren't. They'd just start with an extra point because they'd have 2 areas lit up. But looking good there. And we can move on to actually having the balls move as well as change the squares. And I'm going to throw a mouse on here real quick. And this will just give us the delay so we can get our thoughts together before we actually start the game. And I'm just going to have that go based off of a left mouse click, and that'll start the initial ball movement. And this will allow you just a break before stuff. Obviously, you don't need to use left button click. You can have like a countdown timer or something that kind of gets the game prepped and ready. And then once it goes, we're going to start moving the balls. So I'm going to go ahead and grab a ball and set a move to position. Position right there, and the algorithm we want in here is to pick a center position of one of our tiles somewhere on the map. So we're going to do random, and we have 100 through 600 essentially of where we want to go, and the tiles are 50 each. So I came up with random 2 to 12, and we want it to be as an int, and we want it to be times 50. So that will be each one of our squares and meet the center. So we'll throw that in there, and it'll be the exact same for the Y position. And then I'm going to copy paste this and just set the same thing for the yellow ball, because we want them to work the same. So now on left click, they'll both start moving to a random position. And now we have to set up how they interact. So we can go ahead with first on arrived. And we'll have to do it for each of them. Of course, you can always use families and throw both the balls in the family, and if on arrived, it can reset the position of their next move to as well. Not sure if the user has purchased construct, so they might not have families, so I'm just doing it this way, the more basic way. And you can always edit it to be easier and less work on yourself from there. And I want to go back to yellow ball, and nothing else changed. And then I'm just going to reset these. So anytime they arrive, they get a new random location to go to. And now we need a collision check. So we'll do red ball first. And then on collision with an object, that is sprite, which is our tile. I just didn't rename it. And let's see, we want to go ahead and add a blank sub-event. And sprite. We will go ahead and compare the frame that it's currently playing. Or actually, sorry, we will compare the animation that it's playing. And if it's blank, we're going to do something. If it's yellow, we're going to do something. And if it's red, we're going to do something. So for the red ball, if it's blank, we are just going to set sprite to animation, and we want it to match the color that we hit. So if a red ball hits a blank one, it's just going to set it to red. Nothing fancy. And then if our ball hits a yellow tile, we're still going to set it to red, but then we want to go ahead and reset this so it kind of kills the trajectory and potentially bounces it back into its own field. So it makes it hard to go through multiple layers at once. And then if it's already red, we don't have to do anything. Technically, we can erase this. Oh, and that should be it. I'm going to copy paste this whole thing and just kind of rework this all for the yellow ball. And if it hits blank, we want it to set to yellow. And if it's already playing yellow, we want to do nothing. But if it's playing red, we will want to set the animation to yellow. And then we want to bounce the yellow ball. And we can go ahead and click, and we see they bounce off the other balls and get a little more weird. Like I was saying, it'll stop them from doing these long pushes through. And they kind of just battle it out. And then we can throw a score on there real quick. So we'll just need a text box. And we'll just set that on every tick. Let's see. Let's start with a group, and I'll add some local variables. Add to score a local variable, and we'll have the yellow score. And I'm going to copy paste that and rename that to red. So we got the yellow score, the red score, and let's see, let's just say 1 second. Every 1 second, and we'll reset those to 0, 0, and then we'll need a for each. Sprite, and then we'll compare the frames to see what color they are and add points up accordingly. So for each sprite, and we'll add some sub-events. I want 2, so I just copy paste that real quick. And compare is playing yellow or red. And then if it is playing yellow, we will add to the local variable by 1. And if it's playing red, of course, we'll add to the local variable red by 1. And once all that's done adding, we can go ahead and set the text. So we have score, and we'll throw a new line in there. And we want the red score. And another new line. And we want the yellow score. And if you're new to text, in the quotes is what's going to come out exactly as I wrote it. Ampersand is how I add something new. New line's just going to give me an enter. And then I'm adding something new again, which is more text, so it'll come out as red. And then the and lets me add the variable, my local variable of red. And then I kind of repeat the same thing again for yellow. So let's make sure this works. And you can see they go up and down, depending on how many tiles I have. So everything's looking good. And then most of the marble war games have bases, multi-balls, so you should be able to kind of rework the same mechanics in there. You can add a base as it gets hit by the other color ball. You can take away its life, destroy, capture other balls, all that fun stuff. But this should give you the core basics and hopefully let you get started. Obviously, if you have any questions, feel free to ask me in the comments or on the forums. I will be happy to do more. Hope you all have a good one. Bye.